Friends, today I am here with the technology which has revolutionized the world. Like printing in the last century was an eye-opener where black and white, then colored prints were made out and pamphlets, newspapers, books could be distributed and knowledge, and it became a kind of media which spread out in the world and people could use it to read and get information. So that printing was basically two-dimensional. And in this century, all the three dimensions have been covered in 3D printing. Today, aviation parts are made by 3D printing. Houses are being built by 3D printing. So what is this three-dimensional printing which has revolutionized this world in this century? And literally everything and anything, if measured properly, can be printed out in the three-dimensional fixture. So 3D printing or additive manufacturing is a process of making three-dimensional objects from a digital file. This creation of a 3D printed object is achieved using additive processes. In an additive process, an object is basically created by laying down successive layers of material until the object is created. Each of these layers can be seen as a thinly sliced cross-section of the object. However, there is one exception, and it is called volumetric 3D printing. With this volumetric 3D printing, entire structures can be formed at once without the need for layer by layer fabrication. It's worth noting, however, that as of now, volumetric technology is primarily in the research phase, but 3D printing is the opposite of subtractive manufacturing, which is cutting out oblique hollowing out a block of material with, for instance, a milling machine. This enables you to produce complex shapes using less material than traditional manufacturing methods and is comparatively also cheaper. So it all starts basically with a 3D model which you have to create on the ground or download it from a 3D library from where you have taken the measurements of the item and created the 3D block of whatever you want to create. There are many softwares which are available, like the Tinkercad, which is for beginners, and then there is no end to it. And then we have the preparation of the 3D printers. There are many types of printers from small to big which can give you many kinds of items as per your requirement, including building of houses which are being used in advanced countries like the Japan and America. Slicing is basically meaning that the model is sliced or cut into hundreds or thousands of layers and done by the slicing software. When your file is sliced, it is ready for your 3D printer, and feeding the file to your printer can be done via USB, SD or Wi-Fi. And when this file is ready, the 3D then prints it layer by layer. Adoption of 3D printing has reached critical mass as those who have yet to integrate additive manufacturing somewhere in their supply chain are now part of an ever-shrinking minority. So where 3D printing was only suitable for prototyping and one of manufacturing in the early stages, it is now being used for production technology where mass items are made or big items are made as a part of the production process. Most of the current demand for 3D printing is industrial in nature. So we have many uses of 3D printing such as consumer products like eyewear, footwear, designing furniture. Then we have products such as tool manufacturing, prototypes, functional end-use parts, dental product, prosthetics, architectural scale-down models and maquettes, reconstructing fossils, replicating ancient artifacts, reconstructing evidence in forensic pathology, movie props, and also construction. So, why use 3D printing for rapid prototyping? Rapid prototyping is basically when you create one sample of an item to test it in the lab for its viability and usage. So, use of 3D printers for such kind of prototyping is because it is relatively cheap and fast. You do not have to go in for the infrastructural developments, and 3D models can hold a prototype in your hand in a matter of days instead of weeks, and the cost is much lesser because you are not investing in the infrastructural jigs and tools. Besides, 3D printing is also used for rapid manufacturing, where the new method of manufacture is used without the use, like I said, investing into the infrastructural cost. So that is saved out. You just have one printer which gives you the products with the material which may be more sustainable and cheap also. In the automotive industry, car manufacturing have been utilizing 3D printing for a long time. They are printing out spare parts, tools, jigs and fixtures, and also end-use parts. These are done after proper testing and can be used with more reliability. Aviation again loves additive manufacturing because this gives the promise of lightweight and stronger structures which are offered by 3D printing. We see a whole bunch of innovations in this domain of aviation, where these parts are made more cheaply and also are more susceptible to the stresses and rigors of flight. Then is the turbine center frame. Like I said, it is more susceptible to the stresses and the pressure. So turbines which have to sustain these stresses of rotation are being used by means of 3D printing. The advanced methodologies can get the dimensions up to nano millimeters and are very precise instead of using the cast or the other methods where the tolerances are much more and the items or the parts may not be that reliable. Then again, 3D printing is used in the hypersonic fuel injection in aircrafts, in space technologies, because again, when flying at a hypersonic speed of above 5 Mach, the air passing around the vehicle or the engine becomes incredibly hot and the pressures increase significantly. These conditions can cause the air itself to become chemically reactive, which causes issues for fuel burning vehicles and engines. So these flow conditions with computational flow diagnostics can be tested out much more economically, thus making it easier for fabrication of the actual final part. Then in rocket technology also 3D printings are done in the fourth generation's target 3D printers are capable of printing object measuring up to 120 feet long and 24 feet in diameter. With AI assisted robotic printers, these fast print speeds have been manufacturing very precise items with high speed and with the least of tolerances, and productions can be tested out and the results seen in front, and research work becomes quite fast because the items are available to the researchers to work out upon. Like I said, in construction also 3D printing is being used. So in today's world, most of the concrete printing in the houses are being done by large scale concrete printing systems with fairly large nozzles for large flow rates, and they are sliced out. The walls are basically sliced out and concrete layers are laid one upon the another in a quick and repeated manner, so that where as per the design the windows doors are cut out and the walls and the roofs made out, and these constructions minded are not weak and are equally or maybe even more stronger than normal construction methods which are being used. Then we have the consumer products like Adidas uses 3D printing machines for making the midsoles, eyewear, where majority of the eyewear in today's world is by 3D printing. So that is the basic reason why we get the lenses at a much cheaper rate. And finally, we have also jewelries which are made by 3D printing, which the ladies like to wear, and healthcare is not left behind because there are many experimental cases which are being done with help of 3D printing, which is still a fringe technology in medical and healthcare sector, but it is not the case. And over the last decade, about more than 1 lakh hip replacements have been done by means of artificial hips printed out by 3D by G additive. The Delta TT cup is also designed by Dr. Guy Guparo and Lima Corporate, which have used tracular titanium, which is characterized by a regular three-dimensional hexagonal cell structure that imitates trabecular bone morphology. So even in healthcare and medical sector, there are implants which are being fabricated by 3D printers which have been tested very logically. In the dental industry, we see molds for clear aligners being possibly the most 3D printed object in the world. Currently, the molds are 3D printed with both resin and powder-based 3D printing processes, and also via material jetting. Crowns and dentures are already directly 3D printed along with surgical guides. And then we have bioprinting also. And in case of food, the manufacturing of the boxes and the prints are done by 3D printers, but food is still real and 3D printed food is not available. Education, yes, the blocks and lot of infrastructure for education systems are being created by smaller 3D printers. So in today's world, we have 3D printings. They are the VAT photopolymerization, the material jetting, the binder jetting, the material extrusion method, and the powder bed fusion. So here I have talked to you the usage of 3D printing. To more about the types of 3D printing, You can keep following this channel. Though I am not an expert on this, but I can try to give you an insight to what these are. So please keep subscribing to this channel and also do not forget to like and share it. Jai Hind.